I'm 75 years old, and I need to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. For 52 years of my life, I believed that friendships would always be there, that real friends understood when you were busy, that they'd wait for you while you chased your dreams, built your career, and handled your responsibilities. I was wrong about everything. And now I'm paying the price. Look, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not some bitter old man shaking his fist at the world. But something happened 3 years ago that shattered everything I thought I knew about friendship, loyalty, and what it means to truly show up for people. What I'm about to share with you. Nobody told me this when I was young. My parents didn't teach it. My teachers didn't mention it. My mentors never brought it up. And because nobody warned me, I lost the most important people in my life. Not to death, not to distance. I pushed them away, slowly, quietly, without even realizing I was doing it. You know what's worse than losing a friend? Looking back and realizing you're the reason they left. Realizing that every canceled plan, every unreturned call, every "I'll catch up with you later" was another brick in the wall you were building between you and the people who actually cared about you. I built that wall for decades, brick by brick, excuse by excuse. And now I'm 75 years old, sitting in a house that's too quiet, wondering where everyone went. But here's the thing, they didn't go anywhere. I did. If you're watching this, there's probably a reason. Maybe you've been too busy lately. Maybe you keep meaning to call that old friend, but something always comes up. Maybe you tell yourself that real friends understand. They do understand. That's why they eventually stop trying. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you about the moment everything changed. 3 years ago, I got a phone call that ended my old life. I was 72. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember because I was supposed to be at a breakfast meeting and I almost didn't answer the phone. But something made me pick up. It was Marcus's daughter. Marcus and I had been friends since we were 23 years old. We met at our first real jobs, 2 young guys trying to figure out life. We were inseparable for years, or at least we used to be. His daughter was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "He's gone," she kept saying. "Dad's gone." Marcus had died in his sleep the night before. Heart attack, no warning, no goodbye, just gone. I sat down on my kitchen floor. I don't even remember making that decision. One moment I was standing, the next I was on the cold tile, phone pressed against my ear, trying to remember how to breathe. 49 years. We'd known each other for 49 years. And you know what my first thought was? It wasn't about the memories we shared. It wasn't about all the good times. My first thought was, when did I last talk to him? I couldn't remember. I sat there on my kitchen floor, a 72-year-old man, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd spoken to my best friend. Was it 6 months ago, a year, longer? I tried to think, really think. And slowly the truth started coming back to me. Marcus had called me on my birthday, 8 months before he died. I was in the middle of something. I don't even remember what now. And I let it go to voicemail. I told myself I'd call him back later. I didn't. He texted me a few weeks after that. Something about getting together for coffee, just like old times. I responded with, "Sounds great. Let me check my schedule and get back to you." I never got back to him. There was another message after that. I can't remember what it said. I just remember thinking I'd reply when I had more time. And then nothing. He stopped reaching out, and I didn't even notice. I went to his funeral in a fog. I sat in the back row, surrounded by people who'd actually been there for him. His bowling league friends, his neighbors, the guys from his book club. Marcus joined a book club in his 60s and never told me. because by then we weren't really talking anymore. His daughter spoke at the service. She talked about all the people Marcus had touched, all the friendships he'd nurtured. She didn't mention me. Why would she? I was a ghost from her father's past, someone he used to know, someone who disappeared. After the funeral, I drove home and sat in my driveway for 2 hours, just sat there. The engine was off, the sun was setting, and I was doing something I hadn't done in years. I was being honest with myself, because Marcus wasn't the only one. He wasn't even the only one that year. There was David, who I'd known since high school. We lost touch in our 40s. I heard he died 3 years before Marcus, and I didn't even know until I saw his obituary by accident. There was Stephen, my college roommate, the guy who stood next to me at my wedding. I couldn't tell you where he lives now. Couldn't tell you if he's even alive. There was a whole list of people who used to matter to me, people who tried to stay connected, people who eventually gave up. And sitting in that driveway, I finally had to face the question I'd been avoiding for decades. What happened to me? Here's what happened. I became successful, not wildly rich, not famous, just successful enough to always be busy, successful enough to always have something more important to do than maintain friendships. When I was 23, Marcus and I would grab beers every Friday. No planning needed. We'd just show up. At 28, it became every other Friday. I was getting promoted, more responsibilities. By 32, it was once a month, maybe. At 35, I told myself when things slow down at work, I'll make more time for friends. Things never slowed down. At 40, I got married. My wife became my whole social world. I told myself that's just what happens when you grow up. Friends fade. That's normal. At 45, Marcus invited me to his son's graduation party. I said I'd try to make it. I didn't. At 50, he asked me to be part of a group trip. A week in Colorado with some of the old crew. I said it sounded amazing, but the timing was bad. Work was crazy. Work was always crazy. At 55, I noticed the invitations were coming less frequently. I told myself everyone was busy. Everyone was dealing with aging parents, career pressures, health issues. I told myself it was mutual. It wasn't. At 60, I retired. And for the first time in decades, I had time, lots of it. But by then, I didn't know how to reach out. It had been too long, too awkward. What would I even say? So I waited. I watched TV, I read books, I took up golf and played alone or with strangers. At 65, my wife got sick. I spent the next 4 years caring for her. And when she passed, I looked around and realized something terrifying. I was alone. Not just my wife is gone, alone, truly alone. The phone didn't ring, the doorbell didn't sound. Holidays came and went and nobody knocked, because I'd spent 40 years teaching everyone in my life that I didn't have time for them, and they'd finally believed me. You want to know the worst part? I had excuses for everything. I was working, I was providing for my family, I was being responsible. But here's what I've learned sitting in this empty house. Responsible for what? I built a career. The career ended. I earned money. The money is just sitting in accounts. I achieved success. Nobody cares about my success now. What did I sacrifice for all those achievements? Everything that would have mattered at 75. I thought success would fill me up. It emptied me out. I thought being busy meant I was important. Being busy just meant I was distracted. I thought friendships could pause and resume whenever I was ready. They can't. People are not Netflix shows. You can't pause them for 5 years and expect to pick up where you left off. Friendships require presence. They require showing up. They require choosing people over productivity, connection over accomplishment. I chose wrong. For 52 years, I chose wrong. Let me tell you the lies I believed, because I bet you believe them too. Lie number 1, real friends understand when you're busy. This is the most dangerous lie of all, because it's half true. Yes, real friends understand when you're busy. They forgive missed calls and rescheduled dinners and last-minute cancellations. But here's what nobody tells you. Understanding has a limit. Understanding is not infinite. You can only tell someone I'm too busy so many times before they stop asking, not because they're angry, not because they don't care, but because they get the message. The message is, you're not a priority, and nobody wants to be reminded of that over and over again. Marcus understood. He understood for years. He understood so well that he eventually gave up on me entirely, and I was too busy to notice. Lie number 2. We'll catch up later. Later. That word has cost me more than I can calculate. I'll call him later. We'll get together later. I'll make it up to him later. Do you know what later really means? Never. Later is the polite way of saying no. Later is the comfortable way of declining without feeling guilty. Later is the slow poison that kills friendships while you're not paying attention. I had 50 years of laters, 50 years of good intentions that never turned into actions. And now? Now there is no later. Marcus is dead. David is dead. Half the people I keep meaning to reconnect with are gone. Later doesn't exist. There's only now or never. That's it. That's all there's ever been. Lie number 3. If the friendship is real, it'll survive anything. I believed this with my whole heart. I believed that real friendships were indestructible, that they could survive years of neglect, decades of silence, lifetimes of taking each other for granted. This is a fantasy. Friendships are not indestructible. They're fragile. They require maintenance. They require investment. Think about it like this. If you stopped watering a plant for 5 years, would you expect it to be alive when you finally remembered it existed? Of course not. But somehow I expected my friendships to survive decades of drought. They didn't. Lie number 4. I'll have more friends when I have more time. This one is my biggest regret. I told myself that friendship was something I'd focus on later, when the kids were grown, when I retired, when life calmed down. But here's the thing about making friends when you're 70. It's hard, really hard, not because there's anything wrong with you or other people, but because by 70, everyone already has their people, their routines, their established circles, and you're starting from scratch, with less energy, less social confidence, less time. The easiest time to make friends is when you're young, when everyone is open and searching and figuring life out together. I had those friends. I had a whole group of them, and I let them all slip away because I assumed new ones would materialize whenever I needed them. They didn't. You want to know what keeps me up at night? It's not the big moments. It's not the obvious milestones I missed. It's the small things, the tiny moments that seemed unimportant at the time, but now feel like everything. Let me tell you about them. Marcus's 50th birthday party. He planned it for months, rented out a restaurant, invited everyone who ever mattered to him, and he called me personally to make sure I'd be there. I told him I'd try. The day came and I was exhausted from work. I'd had a rough week. I told myself Marcus would understand. It was just a birthday. There would be others. So I stayed home, watched some TV, went to bed early. I found out later that Marcus gave a speech that night. He talked about all the people who shaped him. He mentioned me in that speech, called me one of his oldest friends, thanked me for decades of brotherhood, and I wasn't there to hear it. I wasn't there. That was 25 years ago, and I can still feel the shame like it happened yesterday. Stephen's divorce, my college roommate, the guy who helped me move into my first apartment, who stayed up with me the night before my wedding because I was too nervous to sleep. When his marriage fell apart, he called me, left a voicemail. His voice was shaky. He said he just needed someone to talk to. I was in the middle of a project at work. Deadline approaching, pressure from all sides. I told myself I'd call him back that weekend. I didn't. By the time I finally reached out, 3 weeks had passed. He said he was doing better, said he'd figured things out. His voice was different, though, distant. That was the beginning of the end for us. He needed me during the worst moment of his life, and I was too busy to pick up the phone. The fishing trip I canceled. David organized it. 4 of us from the old group. A long weekend at a cabin. Fishing, cards, catching up. Just like when we were young. I said yes immediately. Marked it on my calendar. Actually felt excited about it. Then work interfered. A client wanted to meet that same weekend. Big opportunity. Career changing. I called David to cancel, told him something came up, apologized profusely, said we'd do it another time. You know what David said? Sure, Tom, another time. He didn't sound surprised. He didn't argue. He just accepted it. Because by then, he expected nothing from me. That fishing trip happened without me. It was the last time that group ever got together. David died 2 years later. Heart disease. I think about that cabin sometimes. The laughs I missed, the conversations I'll never have, the last chance to be with my friend before he was gone forever, all because a client wanted a meeting. I don't even remember that client's name now. My neighbor, Paul. This one is different because Paul is still alive. Paul moved in next door 12 years ago, seemed like a good guy. Invited me over for barbecues, tried to strike up conversations when we were both outside, and I kept him at arm's length. I was polite, friendly enough. But I never really invested, never really showed up. Why? Because I was still operating on the old programming, still believing I was too busy for new friendships, still thinking there would be time later. Paul stopped trying after a while. Now we wave from our driveways and that's it. Here's the thing, though. Paul has a whole group of friends. I see them coming over for game nights. I hear the laughter through the walls. He built what I refused to build. And now I'm the old man next door who never comes out. The neighbor nobody really knows. Because that's the role I chose. The last thing I said to Marcus, this is the one that truly haunts me. The last time we actually spoke, really spoke, was at a mutual friend's retirement party, maybe 18 months before he died. We found each other across the room, hugged, did the usual small talk. How's the wife? How's retirement treating you? You look good. And then Marcus said something that I've replayed 1,000 times since. He said, we should get together soon. Just the 2 of us, like the old days. I miss that. I smiled, nodded, said, definitely, let's make it happen. And then I saw someone I needed to talk to across the room. Some business contact. Someone whose name I can't even remember now. I patted Marcus on the shoulder. Told him I'd call him to set something up. I walked away. That was it. That was our goodbye. A shoulder pat and a promise I never kept. He died 18 months later, and the last thing I said to my best friend of 49 years was a lie. I'll call you. I didn't. After Marcus's funeral, something broke open in me. I don't know how else to describe it. Some wall I'd been maintaining for decades just crumbled, and I decided I was done. Done with excuses, done with later, done with treating people like they'd always be there. I was 72 years old. I'd wasted the better part of 5 decades pushing people away, but I wasn't dead yet. I still had time, not much, but some, and I was going to use it differently. The first thing I did was hard. I called the people I'd neglected, not everyone. Some were gone. Some had moved on entirely. Some wanted nothing to do with me, and I couldn't blame them. But some answered. I called Stephen, hadn't spoken to him in 6 years. He was surprised to hear from me, cautious, but he didn't hang up. I apologized. Not some vague, sorry we lost touch apology. A real one. I told him exactly what I was sorry for. The divorce call I never returned, the years of silence, the way I'd treated our friendship like it was optional. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I wondered when you'd figure it out. We're not best friends again. Too much time has passed, too much damage was done. But we talk now, once a month or so. It's something, it's more than I deserve. I started showing up differently. When someone invites me somewhere now, I go. Unless I'm literally in the hospital, I go. Birthday parties, funerals, retirement dinners, random Tuesday lunches, whatever. I stopped saying, let me check my schedule. I stopped saying, I'll try to make it. I stopped treating my presence like some precious commodity to be rationed. I just started showing up. You know what I discovered? People are shocked when you actually appear. They're so used to being canceled on, postponed, forgotten. When you simply show up, you become remarkable, not because you did anything special, just because you were there. I joined things, a men's breakfast group at a local church, a walking club at the community center, a volunteer organization that builds ramps for elderly people. Was it uncomfortable at first? Absolutely. I was the new guy everywhere, the old man who didn't know anybody, but I kept showing up. And slowly, connections formed, not like the old friendships. Nothing could replace those, but new connections, meaningful ones. Paul, my neighbor, I finally knocked on his door, told him I'd been a lousy neighbor and wanted to do better, asked if I could come to his next game night. He looked at me like I'd sprouted a second head, but he said yes. I've been going to his game nights for 2 years now. I'm terrible at cards. I'm slower than everyone else, but I'm there, and it matters. Here's the truth that took me 72 years to learn. Being there is the whole thing, not being impressive, not being successful, not being busy or important or in demand, just being there. That's what people remember. That's what builds connection. That's what friendship actually is. I'm 75 now. I've been living this way for 3 years, 3 years out of 75. Do you know how painful that math is? I had 52 years of people reaching out to me, 52 years of invitations and opportunities and chances to connect, and I wasted them. But these last 3 years, these have been the fullest years of my life, not because I'm doing anything extraordinary, but because I'm finally present, finally connected, finally choosing people over productivity. It shouldn't have taken a funeral to teach me this, but it did. So now I need to talk to you, not the abstract you of some imaginary audience. You, the person watching this right now, the person who clicked on this video for a reason. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about the answer. When's the last time you called your closest friend, not texted, called, heard their voice, had an actual conversation? When's the last time you made plans with someone and actually followed through? When's the last time you said yes to an invitation without checking if something better might come up? I'm guessing it's been a while. I'm guessing you've been busy. I'm guessing you've told yourself that your friends understand. And here's what I need you to hear. You're making the same mistake I made. I know you don't think so. I didn't think so either. I thought I was different. I thought my friendships were strong enough to survive anything. I thought I had time. You don't. None of us do. That friend you keep meaning to call them today. That gathering you're considering skipping, go. That person who keeps inviting you to things, stop making excuses. Because here's what's happening while you're being busy. They're learning not to count on you. They're adjusting their expectations downward. They're slowly, quietly writing you off. Not with anger, not with drama, with acceptance. And one day, you're going to look around and wonder where everyone went. I know what you're thinking. But I really am busy. My job is demanding. My family needs me. I have responsibilities. I know. I had all of that too. But here's the question you need to sit with. When you're 75, sitting in a quiet house, will you be glad you worked late all those nights? Will you be grateful you prioritized productivity over people? Will you look back and think, I'm so glad I was too busy for friendship? No, you won't. You'll feel exactly what I feel. The hollow ache of roads not taken, the weight of calls never made, the specific particular grief of friendships you let die through neglect. And you'll wish someone had warned you. I'm warning you, right now, today. The people in your life are not permanent fixtures. They are living, breathing humans who need to feel valued, who need to know they matter to you, who need you to show up. And every time you don't show up, you teach them something about their place in your life. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until someone dies and you're sitting at their funeral trying to remember the last time you talked. Don't be me. If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, here's exactly what I would say. Stop. Stop treating friendship like a subscription service you can pause and resume whenever convenient. Stop saying, let me check my schedule when someone invites you somewhere. Just say yes. Stop assuming your friends know you care about them. Show them. Stop prioritizing people who pay you over people who love you. Stop believing that success will fill the space where connection should be. Stop saying we should get together soon unless you mean it. Either make actual plans or don't say anything at all. Start calling people. Not texting, calling, hearing their voice, having real conversations. Start showing up to things, even when you're tired, even when it's inconvenient, even when you'd rather stay home. Start being the friend who follows through, the one people can count on, the one who actually appears when they say they will. Start scheduling friendship like you schedule work. Put it in your calendar. Treat it like the priority it is. Start saying the things you feel. Tell people you love them. Tell people they matter. Tell people you're grateful for them. Start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down. Now, if you've been neglecting someone, reach out today. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect words. Just send a message that says, hey, I've been thinking about you. Want to grab coffee? If someone has been reaching out to you and you've been dodging them, stop dodging. Say yes to the next invitation. Show up. If you've been meaning to call someone, call them. Right after this video, put down your phone, pick it up again, and dial their number. If there's a friendship that's faded and you miss it, do something about it. Swallow your pride. Extend the invitation. Be the one who reaches out. I know it feels awkward. I know it feels vulnerable. I know it's easier to do nothing. Do it anyway, because the alternative is sitting where I'm sitting, 75 years old, looking back at decades of missed opportunities, wishing someone had grabbed you by the shoulders and said, wake up, these people won't be here forever, neither will you. I'm 75 now. Marcus has been dead for 3 years. David has been dead for 6. Stephen is still alive, and we're slowly rebuilding something. I have more friends now than I've had in decades. Not many, but real ones. People who show up, people I show up for. My biggest regret isn't that I was too busy for friendship in my 30s and 40s and 50s. My biggest regret is that I didn't wake up sooner. I had 52 years of chances. 52 years of people reaching out, inviting me in, trying to stay connected, and I pushed them all away because I thought I had more important things to do. I didn't. There's nothing more important than the people who love you. Nothing, not your career, not your achievements, not your responsibilities. People are the point. Everything else is just noise. The irony is almost too much to bear. I spent my whole life thinking I was too busy for connection. And now, at the end, connection is the only thing that matters. The money in my accounts? Meaningless. The career achievements? Forgotten. The promotions and projects and performance reviews? Nobody cares. What matters is whether someone will visit you when you're sick. What matters is whether someone will call to check in. What matters is whether anyone will miss you when you're gone. And you can't build that at the end. You have to build it along the way. I'm doing what I can with the time I have left, showing up, making calls, being present. But I would give anything, to have those 52 years back, to have answered Marcus's calls, to have gone to the birthday party, to have taken the fishing trip, to have been there for Stephen during his divorce. I can't get those years back. But you still have yours. So here's where we are. You're watching this video. You've made it almost to the end. Something in my story resonated with you. Something made you stay. Now you have a choice. You can close this video and go back to your life exactly as it was. Keep telling yourself you'll reconnect with people later. Keep assuming your friends will always be there. Keep believing you have time. Or you can decide right now, today, that you're going to do something different. Call someone. Make plans. Show up. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It just has to be something. One phone call, one coffee date, one text that says, I've been thinking about you. That's how you start. That's how you prevent ending up where I am. Because I promise you, with everything in me, you don't want to be 75 years old, sitting in an empty house, trying to remember the last time you spoke to your best friend. You don't want that funeral moment, that awful clarifying realization that you waited too long. You don't want to learn this lesson the way I learned it, so don't. Learn it now, today, while the people you love are still alive, while you still have time to show up for them. The people in your life are waiting to see if you'll prioritize them. What's your answer? There is no later. There's only now or never. Choose now. If this story resonated with you, I hope you'll share it, not for me, but for the person in your life who needs to hear it, the friend who's always busy, the family member who keeps canceling, the person heading down the same path I walked. Maybe this will be their wake-up call. Subscribe if you want to hear more. I'm 75 years old. I don't have unlimited stories left, but the ones I have, I'm determined to share. Leave a comment. Tell me what you're going to do differently. Tell me who you're going to call. I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your stories. And if you're watching this and thinking about someone you've been neglecting, close the video, pick up the phone, call them. The rest of the internet will still be here when you're done. Your friend might not be. Thank you for spending your time with me. Your time is precious, more precious than you know. Don't waste it the way I wasted mine. Now go. Show up. Be there while you still can.